The night was thick with tension. Flames engulfed the hut at the edge of the village, and the cries of a man pierced the air. A crowd of villagers had gathered, but no one dared to approach.
Help me, please!
The man's voice rang out desperate and raw. From within the flames, a massive shadow moved, a long, slithering form. Suddenly, the man's scream stopped. An elder stepped forward, his voice trembling.
It is her, the serpent child. The curse has come to collect its due.
Years before the night of terror, Iyabo was a woman consumed by sorrow. Her barrenness had turned her life into a living nightmare. While other women in the village celebrated the cries of newborns, Iyabo faced only silence and scorn. Her husband Ade, once a loving and patient man, had grown bitter. You are a useless woman, Iyabo. My brothers warned me not to marry you. Look at me now. No son, no daughter. You are nothing but a bad luck. He often stormed out, leaving Iyabo to cry alone in a dark hut. The whispers of the villagers grew louder. With each passing year, they called her Aje, a witch who had eaten her children in the womb. One day, after a particularly brutal argument, Iyabo sought refuge at the river bank, where she often went to weep. A reflection in the water looked foreign to her, hollow cheeks, sunken eyes, and a spirit broken by years of ridicule. Her tears fell into the river. She whispered, "Oh gods of the river, hear me. If you exist, give me a child. I don't care what it takes. I will pay any price." The river stilled. The air grew heavy, and a chilling silence enveloped the area. From the water emerged a short, old woman with piercing eyes and a crooked staff. She seemed to carry the weight of ages on her small frame. "Iyabo," the woman said, her voice echoing unnaturally. "You have called upon the spirits of Ajakun. Do you know the cause of what you seek?" Iyabo knelt, trembling but resolute. "I know, and I am ready. Just give me a child." The old woman leaned closer, her eyes glowing faintly. "A child you shall have, but she will not belong to you. She is destined for a greater purpose in the kingdom of the waters. Will you still accept this gift?" Without hesitation, Iyabo nodded. "Yes, I will do anything." The old woman handed her a gourd. "Fill the shimmering water, drink, and your womb shall open. But remember, every gift from the gods carries a curse." Months later, Iyabo gave birth to a baby girl. The labor was long and painful, unlike anything the village midwives had ever seen. When the baby finally arrived, the woman gasped. "She carries the mark of the serpent," one midwife whispered, stepping back in fear. The baby's forehead bore a strange coiled birthmark that resembled a snake. Her eyes were an unusual shade of green, gleaming even in the dim light of the hut. When Ade saw the child, his face contorted with anger and disgust. "What is this? What kind of abomination have you brought into my house?" "She's our daughter, Ade," Iyabo pleaded, holding the baby protectively. "She's a gift from the gods." "From the gods?" he sneered. "More like from the devil. You've brought curse upon this family." Ade refused to touch the baby, leaving Iyabo to care for her alone. The villagers whispered about the strange child, calling her Omoaja, the serpent child. Mothers warned their children not to go near Iyabo's hut. Despite the hostility, Iyabo loved her daughter fiercely. She named her Adesewa, meaning crown of beauty, determined to protect her at all costs. As Adesewa grew, Ade's hatred for her only deepened. He refused to acknowledge her as his child and blamed Iyabo for every misfortune that befell him. His once thriving farm began to fail, and they saw this as a proof of the curse. One evening, after a long day of drinking, Ade stumbled into the hut. Reeking of palm wine, he found Iyabo feeding Adesewa, who was now 4 years old. "Why do you keep wasting your time on that thing?" he sneered, pointing at the child. "She's your daughter, Ade," Iyabo said firmly. "She's no daughter of mine." He lunged at Iyabo, grabbing her by the arm. Adesewa screamed, trying to shield her mother. "Leave her alone," the little girl cried, tears streaming down her face. Ade turned on her, his face twisted with rage. "You dare speak to me, you little demon!" He raised his hand to strike her, but before he could, something unimaginable happened. Adesewa's small body began to convulse, her eyes glowing a bright unnatural green. Her skin seemed to ripple, and before Iyabo's horrified eyes, the little girl transformed into a massive black snake. The serpent coiled around Ade, hissing menacingly. His screams filled the hut as the snake's fangs sank into his neck. It thrashed wildly, but it was futile. Within moments, his body went limp, his lifeless eyes staring into the void. The snake uncoiled and silted to a corner of the hut. Slowly, it transformed back into Adesewa, who was trembling and sobbing. "Mama, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to," she cried. Iyabo, though terrified, rushed to her daughter and held her tightly. "It's not your fault, my child. You are special. The gods have chosen you." The next morning, news of Ade's death spread through the village. Iyabo told everyone that he had been bitten by a snake, but whispers of witchcraft and curses circulated. Fearing for their lives, Iyabo and Adesewa fled the village and moved to Lagos, where they hoped to start anew. In the bustling city, Iyabo worked tirelessly as a trader, while Adesewa grew into a striking, beautiful young woman. Her serpent-like birthmark, however, became a source of shame. To hide it, she began using makeup to cover the mark, ensuring no one would see the truth. As Adesewa grew older, she discovered something unsettling. She had a strange power over men. Her presence alone seemed to enchant them, and with a single touch, she could drain their energy. By the time she was 20, she had become mysteriously wealthy. Men who pursued her often ended up losing everything: their money, their health, and even their will to live. Adesewa, however, remained unbothered, her beauty drawing more admirers by the day. But her powers came with a cost. Each time she drained a man, she felt a deeper connection to the waters of Ajakun, as if they were calling her back. One Sunday, Adesewa attended a popular church in Lagos. The congregation buzzed with excitement as Pastor Tunde, a renowned man of God, delivered his sermon. When Adesewa entered, all eyes turned to her. Even Pastor Tunde faltered his words, trailing off as he stared at her. After the service, he approached her. "Young lady, the Lord has revealed something to me about you." Adesewa smiled faintly. "Oh, and what might that be?" "You carry the mark of the serpent," he said gravely. "You are not an ordinary woman. You have been sent to destroy." Adesewa's smile faded. "And what will you do about it, Pastor?" "I will pray for you," he said firmly. "The power of God is greater than any curse." That night, Pastor Tunde's household was plunged into darkness. Neighbors reported hearing his terrified screams. When they entered his house the next morning, he was nowhere to be found.
Okay guys, I hope you all enjoyed this wonderful story. Do not forget to turn on the notification bell to be notified whenever we post. And please guys, like, share and subscribe. Watch out for part 2.